and everything that will happen for the next year. It began for me 35 years ago. I was asked to be the chaplain on the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline, and the elite, and folks, let me say as emphatically as I can that positively is a group of people on the face of the earth who control the world. And since I was chaplain on the Trans-Alaska Oil Pipeline, they invited me to sit in on their board meetings in an advisory capacity in order to help the relationship between management and labor as they were building the biggest pipe ever constructed on the face of the earth for the carrying of crude oil from the Prudhoe Bay, huge new American oil field on the Arctic Ocean. Well, I had the experience of my lifetime. Now, by the providence of God, it had to have happened, because how would a little unknown, insignificant missionary flying airplanes out in the bush of Alaska all of a sudden be allowed to sit with the people you hear about in the World Bank, the IMF, top oil company officials of the world? It could have only happened by the providence of God. Very few people on the face of this earth have ever lived with the elite for 3 years' time. I did. Sat across the dinner table from them, stayed in the same dorms with them at Prudhoe Bay, on the oil field. These were not men coming to my church. I was on their oil field. They greeted me kind of like a mascot, told me everything that I asked, never withheld anything from me, and I had an opportunity to literally observe the elite of the world firsthand, as probably nobody else ever has that would be allowed to ever tell the story, and I'm quite sure they didn't think that I would. Well, over the past 35 years, everything that I've ever been told by them, I have told it to the world. And a few times I've been contacted, and they've said, Chaplain, you're saying too much, and you're going to have to back off. If you don't, we're going to have to take action. Well, that's exactly what happened back 8 months ago. One of them called me. This is the second time this has happened in 35 years. This gentleman I had not seen for about 25 years. I know who he is. He's 82 years of age now, but once you become a part of them, you never get away from it. And he said, Chaplain, you've got to quit saying certain things. You're talking too much, and you're getting us in trouble. And if you don't quit, we're going to have to take action.
And by the way, for those that don't know, your video went as viral as Loose Change, the most downloaded film in Internet history. It was #1 on Google Video for 6-7 months with millions of views a day. So that's why they called you. It was international sensation. The info you've been telling us for myself 13 years finally got a lot of attention. So they call you up. They threaten you. Continue.
Yes, and what he said was not too pleasant. And I remember very well that John F. Kennedy, the President of the United States of America, decided one day he'd buck the elite, change over the currency, and do away with the Federal Reserve. Well, it didn't take long for him to get shot. So there was no sense in the world in me arguing with him. I talked with the gentleman a few minutes, agreed to pull my video, redo it, agreed to shut down my website, which you won't find it there any longer. But that's not the important thing. The important part is what I can do in helping you who are listening to this program today know everything that the elite told me for the next year and a year and a half that they plan to do. Because after this gentleman and I came to agreement, he said, now, Chaplain, if you'll do these simple things, he said, we'll let you alone and let you go ahead and talk like you want to. Well, at that point, I asked him, I decided I'd be friendly. I said, how's your family, your wife, where have you been living since I saw you 25 years ago? He became quite polite, and at that point, I began asking him questions, and for 45 minutes' time, he talked with me on the phone. Now, if you can imagine, Alex, I must say, I put on my britches just like you do every morning.
This is a former CEO of one of the big 5 oil companies, but go ahead.
Yeah, and he was talking with me on the phone, and he said, this is what we're going to do. Now, that was when crude oil was $147 a barrel.
It actually hit $150 to be technical, but go ahead.
Yeah, and there's no way in this world that it was going to come down to $50 a barrel, but he said to me it's coming down to $50 a barrel. He said the price of gasoline at the gas pump is going to $1.50 to $2 a gallon. He said, and I said, why are you going to do this? He said, we're going to do it for the purpose of bankrupting OPEC oil-producing countries of the world. This was unthinkable. The richest people on the face of the earth to be bankrupted. I said, what's this going to do to that city over there called Dubai, 5-star, never anything been built like it before? He said, it's going to become a ghost town. He went right down the line with everything that was going to happen, including what was going to take place for the next 12 months to a year and a half in the United States of America. Now, Alex, I would like to do something very unusual on your program as it goes along today. I have never done this in the 35 years that I have had the privilege of doing radio talk shows all across America. I have never done what I'd like to do on your show today. You see, knowing the elite personally, sitting across the dinner table from them, living in the dorms with them, talking with them on their level, I was able to analyze their mind.
I understand. Stay there. You got to know them and how they work. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I know we've had loaded phone lines since the radio show began. We're going to get to you. It won't matter if it's all over the map, as Lindsay Williams can comment on it all. But, Pastor, recap what you've said in your past interviews. Explain what he told you they were going to do 8 months ago. Then you go on the air 6.5, 7 months ago. You break it down when oil prices were only rising.
Alex, you were bold enough to allow me to be on your show on July the 28th of 2008. And believe me, you had to have been bold to have allowed that, because crude oil prices at that time were $147 a barrel. And this gentleman told me they were going to $50 a barrel. I knew there was no way in this world that this could happen except that the elite would do it. Now, folks, let me pause here long enough to say, please, I beg of you, believe everything you hear Alex Jones say on his show. I know from firsthand experience that the elite of this world do exist. There is a handful of people who control our government, control our president, control the currencies, control OPEC and the oil production of the world and the price they get for a barrel of oil. And this man said to me, it is going to $50 a barrel. It's going to $1.50 to $2 a gallon at the gas pump. Now, here I'm going to make a prediction. Don't be concerned about gasoline prices going up the gas pump. They aren't. I was told by this man that they would stay this way until they had completely bankrupted OPEC, the oil-producing countries of the world. That means a year to a year and a half, you are going to see gasoline prices stay right where they are today and not go up. Mark my words. I was told it by one of those who knows everything that goes on behind closed doors.
And by the way, since then, several mainstream publications like Bloomberg and AP and George Soros at the Davos World Economic Forum, where the elite spews their propaganda, admitted that they've artificially lowered oil prices to bankrupt Russia, Venezuela, the Arabs, and ensure a worldwide depression so the big central banks, flush with all the bailout money, can buy everything up for pennies on the dollar with an artificially engineered fire sale. Now, within months of you saying this on air, it began to drop from $150 a barrel down to $100, down to $75, down to $60, down to as low as $33 a barrel. It's at 40-something right now. It bounces around down there at the bottom. Again, he told you they were doing this. Now, break down why they wanted to destroy the world economy.
They are doing this intentionally. All this was planned months and months in advance. This did not happen by chance. What's happening in the finances of America right now, likewise, are not happening by chance. All of this is for the purpose of bringing about everything that you're seeing take place right now in banking. He told me, he said, America will see a... Now, folks, please notice this. I'm quoting this man verbatim, word for word. It's almost as if he had just walked out of the boardroom of the elite and was quoting it to me on the telephone before we had this financial crisis, before Obama was elected, before we had any money given by the Treasury of the United States of America to the banks of America, before the real estate crisis took place. This man told me, and Alex, thank you for allowing me the privilege of being on your show.
You bet, Lindsay. You bet. Let's get into it. So
America will see a financial collapse that will be so great that it will take years to come out of it. Now, this means he was forecasting exactly what's taking place in the financial world right now, the real estate crisis, the banking crisis. And, folks, you haven't seen anything yet. You just wait until they finish up what they wanted, because he said to me, he said, this is being done for the purpose of bankrupting the OPEC oil-producing countries of the world. That means that they no longer have the money to buy our T-bills. Folks, you don't realize just how drastic this is. The T-bills pay the interest on the national debt of the United States of America, and when they don't buy our Treasury bills at the auctions of the Treasury, it could bring about a collapse of the dollar. mark my words, you are going to see 6 months, 9 months, maximum 1 year from now, a total, complete collapse of the United States dollar and the economic system in this country. Prepare yourself for it. I was told by one of the insiders themselves that it's going to happen, and you can depend on the fact. Now, Alex, when can I come down to the mindset of these people so I can help folks understand why they have all this to do?
Let's do that in a moment. I first want to flesh out the fact that you said on this show almost 7 months ago that it would first start bankrupting things like Dubai, which was supposedly the best place to invest in the world. Now the New York Times admits it's imploding. They're stopping building. They're going into full-bore depression. People are going to the airport and just leaving their cars and flying out of the country, the foreign workers. I mean, it's happening here. This is a war against everybody. I've had some good old boys email me and go, good, let's bankrupt Venezuela and Russia and the Arabs. No. This is the banks and the oil companies, the same people that own them, bankrupting the world to bring in a world government, a world carbon tax, total control, and they've now announced it.